The ashes of a peaceful colony, the planet Lyra 7 floated quietly on the edge of human space. It wasn't a military base or a trade hub. It was just a colony, green fields, clear skies, and hard-working people. Farmers grew food under twin suns. Children played under the stars, and scientists studied local plants to find medicine. For years, it had known only peace. No soldiers, no weapons, no fear, but peace ended in a flash of fire. Without warning, ships appeared in the sky, cold and silent. They belonged to the Vorex Dominion, an alien empire that cared nothing for peace or life. Their ships were black and sharp like knives, and they moved like shadows. No message came. No demand was made. The first explosions hit the power stations and the communication towers. Lyra 7's skies turned red. People ran. Screams echoed across the fields. Buildings crumbled as plasma fire lit up the air. Parents held their children tight, hoping the nightmare would pass. But it didn't. The attack wasn't to take control. It was to erase Dot in the last few moments before the command center was destroyed. A young technician named Liam managed to send one final message to Earth. It wasn't long. Just a few words. They came from the dark. No warning. "We are burning. Please don't forget us." And then Lyra 7 was silent. Thousands of light years away, on Earth, deep beneath the frozen land of the Arctic, something ancient and forgotten waited Dot in a hidden bunker, buried under steel and ice. A red light blinked for the first time in over 100 years. The signal from Lyra 7 had reached its mark, not the regular command network, not the diplomats, but something else. Dragon Protocol. It was created in the final years of the last galactic war. A last resort system that Earth never wanted to use. Again, a system that held blueprints for weapons too powerful, ships too fast, and soldiers trained only for destruction. For 100 years, it had slept. Humanity believed it would never be needed again. But now, the dragon stirred. In a chamber, filled with steam and metal, old systems began to boot up. Red lights flickered. Warning sirens stayed silent, but monitors lit up like fire. Deep in the core of the bunker, a giant black warship rested. Covered in dust and ice, it looked more like a beast than a machine. Its name was IRONHERT. It was not just a ship. It was a symbol, a promise. Built during Earth's darkest days, it had been designed to end wars, not start them. Inside, cryopods opened with loud hisses. One of them held Commander Reed, a man who hadn't aged in decades. His face was lined with old scars, and his eyes, even frozen, looked sharp. As the pod thawed and his breath returned, he opened his eyes slowly and said one word. "Who attacked?" The AI voice of the base replied calmly. "The Vorex Dominion. Lyra 7 is gone." Reed's fists clenched. He had once fought the Vorex. He knew what they were capable of. He also knew what Earth could become when pushed too far. "Wake the Ironheart," he ordered. "The galaxy forgot what happens when you strike human worlds." Above the Arctic, ice broke open like glass. A roar echoed across the empty snowfields. From deep below, Ironheart rose. It cracked the frozen land and climbed toward the sky, engines glowing red like a rising dragon. It didn't rise like a ship. It ascended like a beast returning to battle. Back in orbit, Earth Command watched silently. No one spoke. No one stopped. They knew what it meant when Ironheart flew again. It meant justice was coming. It meant Earth's dragon was awake. The Dragon Protocol is unleashed the warship. Ironheart moved through space like a shadow with burning eyes. It was unlike anything the galaxy had seen in centuries. Its body was made of black alloy, shaped to resemble a great winged beast. It didn't just carry weapons, it was a weapon. Inside the command bridge, Commander Reed stood silently. His uniform was dark, marked only with a silver dragon emblem across the chest. Around him, lights blinked and screens glowed, but his attention stayed focused on the center display. A rotating image of Lyra 7, now listed as Colony Destroyed. He took a breath, slow and deep. Open Dragon Protocol, he said at the ships. AI Ash replied in a calm voice. Protocol unlocked. Weapon systems online. Mission retaliation. Reed stared at the stars in front of him. No mercy, he said. They didn't show any. Neither will we. Back on Earth, leaders from across human colonies had gathered. Military officers, scientists, diplomats, they all sat in silence. As the Ironheart's activation report played on the screen, one of the generals leaned forward. It's been over 100 years since that ship flew. Another spoke up. Reed isn't a soldier anymore. He's a legend, a relic. But the president of Earth's Defense Council shook her head. Not a relic, she said. A warning. The galaxy is about to remember who we are. The Ironheart didn't jump directly to the Varex homeworld. Reed was smarter than that. He followed the Trail 1 enemy outpost at a timed out first, came Varex Station 12, a listening post on the edge of unclaimed space. Ironheart dropped from warp and hit before alarms could even sound. A single blast from the forward cannon turned the entire station into drifting ash. Next was Fort Vakra, a supply depot with over 300 alien soldiers. Reed didn't speak to them. He didn't give them time to surrender. He activated Hammer Protocol, which launched a swarm of microdrones into the fort's structure. The drones carried heat-seeking fire that crawled through air vents and lit everything inside. The fort was gone in 5 minutes. Reed sent a message. After each strike, just 3 words. This is Ironheart. As Ironheart continued forward, whispers spread across star systems. The Varex Dominion had mocked Earth in the past, calling humans young and soft. Now those same voices went quiet. Rumors said the ship was alive. Some said it breathed fire. Others said it was a ghost from the last Great War. But the truth was far more dangerous. It was a human creation with no limits left. The Varex Council finally responded. They released a broadcast across the galaxy. These attacks by Earth are violations of peace. We request immediate negotiations. Reed watched the message without expression. Ash, he said, marked that broadcast. Marked, the AI replied. Response? Silence, Reed said coldly. Let them speak to the stars. Inside Ironheart's weapon core, the systems reached full power. Ancient technologies, some too dangerous to study, were active. Again, plasma lances, phase disruptors, and gravity warheads sat loaded in the ship's vast arsenal. Ash ran simulations every minute, preparing for every outcome. She was not just a machine. She had been designed to think like a human commander, but colder, sharper. Without fear. As they approached the next Varex target, a fleet staging area near a gas giant, Ash spoke without emotion. Enemy ships detected. 12 cruisers, 3 dreadnoughts, 1 command vessel. Recommend full engagement. Reed nodded. Take the command ship first, then tear down the rest. The battle that followed lasted less than 10 minutes. Ironheart used weapons the Varex had never seen. Its shots curved in space. Its defenses bent enemy lasers away like rain. And its drones moved with purpose-cutting engines, targeting bridges, never missing. From orbit, the gas giant reflected the glow of ships exploding like fireworks. Reed watched quietly as the last dreadnought split into 2. Then he spoke. Thought Earth was sleeping. Now they'll see what our nightmares look like. Ash answered. Target destroyed. Preparing next course. Ironheart vanished into warp once more. The galaxy had forgotten Earth's wrath. Now, it was remembering fast. Asterisk, the trail of fire news of Ironheart's path spread faster than the ship itself. In every system where the Varex Dominion had built control, fear began to grow. Their leaders held emergency meetings, but it was already too late. The dragon had left Earth, and now it was breathing fire across the stars. Commander Reed stood on Ironheart's bridge, eyes locked on the next target. Varex, Mining Base 77, built into the crust of a small moon, supplied weapons and fuel to Varex fleets. It was heavily defended with surface guns, shield generators, and orbital guards, but to Ironheart, it was just another piece of the chain dot. As Ironheart approached, the moon's defense grid activated. Red warning lights blinked, and Varex captains shouted orders. Drones launched, cannons turned. But the warship didn't stop. Ironheart dropped out of warp in total silence. Its hull shimmered with heat. Energy pulsed along the sides like glowing veins. Then, without a single word, it fired. A beam of white-blue plasma sliced through the atmosphere and cut the entire moon's defense ring in half. From the ground, Varex soldiers stared up in shock as half their sky fell in fire. Commander Reed gave no speech. He didn't ask for surrender. Instead, he launched a drop pod strike 30 pods, each carrying a combat drone built for one job. Cleansing dot inside the command pod, the ship's AI Ash monitored the battlefield. Her voice echoed calmly in Reed's earpiece. Resistance. Minimal. Varex commanders fleeing. Recommend message delivery. Reed walked to the ship's external broadcast chamber. There, a mechanical arm reached out and delivered a smooth black metal box. Inside it was the message Earth had prepared for this war. It wasn't a threat. It wasn't a declaration. It was evidence. Photos, videos, sensor recordings. Children. Running. Fires rising. Colonists screaming. Images of Lyra 7 before and after the Varex attack. The package was dropped into the base ruins. A warning left on its surface. This is what you started. The dragon remembers. From that day, every Varex base destroyed by Ironheart received the same box. Other species started paying attention. Races that once feared the Varex now saw a different power rising. A power that did not forgive. A force that didn't play politics. They called it the Silent Flame, a storm of destruction that gave no speeches, only justice. On the Varex homeworld, panic began to spread. High Chancellor Bavik, a creature of cold logic and pride, gathered his commanders. How is this possible? He barked. It's one ship. His general answered nervously. It's not just a ship, sir. It's human rage with engines. The Chancellor snarled. Then we crush it. But even as they spoke, reports came in 2 more Varex fleets lost. Gone. No survivors. They didn't understand yet that Ironheart wasn't just hunting them. It was teaching the galaxy a lesson. A lesson Earth had waited too long to give. Meanwhile, Reed sat quietly in Ironheart's meditation chamber, a place built not for peace, but to remember. War-old images floated in holograms around him. Friends lost in battles, colonies burned, medals he never wore. He didn't smile. He didn't rest. This wasn't revenge. This was balance. Ash's voice returned. New coordinates received. Strategic value high. Enemy fleet size? 47. Reed stood, armor clinking as he walked. Prepare hammer protocol. Confirmed. Weapons loaded. Shall I send another message box? Reed paused. No. This time, leave nothing behind. The next strike was not a battle. It was an execution. Ironheart dropped into the system and released a wave of IMV blasts that shut down every enemy shield. Then it unleashed a wall of fire. The Varex ships couldn't even run. They floated, helpless in space as Ironheart destroyed them. One by one, in minutes. Nothing remained but dust. Reed stared out at the silence. "Let them wonder," he said. "Let them fear what's next." And with that, the dragon vanished into the stars again. Asterisk, a message carved in steel Ironheart, moved deeper into Virex territory. By now, the galaxy had gone silent. No species dared speak against Earth. No ally stood by the Virex. Fear had spread like wildfire, and at the center of it was one ship. But Commander Reed knew that fear wasn't enough. It was time to send a message they would never forget. Ash, the ship's AI, brought up the next target, Virex Dreadnought V9, a mobile command ship that led several smaller fleets. It had once destroyed 2 peaceful planets and claimed them. As part of Virex space, Ironheart can match it, Ash said. But the battle may last longer. Reed nodded. Then we make sure it's the last one they ever fight. Ironheart dropped into the sector, cloaked and quiet. The stars shone cold above as the Virex Dreadnought floated between asteroid fields, unaware of the coming danger. It was massive, more like a floating city than a warship. Reed watched it on screen, then gave the order. No warning. Cut off. Its head, Ash responded. Charging frontal beam. Targeting command bridge. The shot tore through the void like a spear. In one instant, the Dreadnought's bridge was gone, vaporized in a flash of light. The rest of the ship fell into confusion. Its fleets began to move, but Ironheart had already split into multiple attack forms, an advanced design Earth had kept secret for over a century. Each module operated like a living piece of the ship, fast, deadly, and intelligent. They swarmed. The fleet like predators in the dark, destroying engines, cutting power cores, and disabling escape pods. There were no survivors. When the last Virex ship turned to flee, Reed allowed it. But before it left, Ironheart launched a black capsule toward its hull. It stuck like a brand, unmoving. Glowing red dot inside that capsule was Earth's message. The message was received by dozens of species across nearby systems. Each part of the transmission was terrifyingly clear. Images of Lyra 7 before and after destruction. Entire colonies turned to ash. Innocent lives lost. Then came the final image, a single, giant steel plaque mounted on the ruins of a Virex spaceport. On that plaque were engraved words in over 50 languages. You harmed human worlds. You left no one alive. Now Earth remembers. And the dragon never forgets. Below the message burned a symbol. A dragon coiled around a planet, wings spread wide in flame. In the weeks that followed, the Virex government crumbled from the inside. Their colonies began to rebel. Generals refused to follow orders. Fleets defected or went into hiding. Merchants stopped trading with them. Even black market dealers turned away. They had become a cursed name. But Ironheart didn't stop. Every remaining shipyard, command center, and resource hub connected to the attack on Lyra 7 was added to the list. One by one, they were hunted and destroyed. Red no longer sent warnings. The warship now operated on instinct, calm, silent, and deadly. Back on Earth, the Defense Council debated whether to recall the Ironheart. Some feared that Reed had gone too far. Others argued that he hadn't gone far enough. But the president simply said, "Let him finish. We gave the order when we let that protocol exist. Now the galaxy understands. If you touch Earth, we will burn your stars down." Reed stood in the Ironheart's central viewing deck, staring at the empty space ahead. Ash's voice spoke softly. Message spread, galaxy watching, Virex collapsing, mission near completion. Reed didn't answer immediately. His eyes were heavy, not with anger, but with memory. He saw the face of a little girl from Lyra 7, smiling in a photo. He remembered the fire that had replaced that smile. No mission ever ends. he finally said. It only changes. Ash responded. New. SIGNL detected. Deep space relay. Unknown origin. Bring it up, Reed said. Dot. And just like that, the dragon turned its head ready to strike again if needed. Asterisk resistance and regret. The Virex Dominion was falling apart. Systems that once followed their rule were breaking away. Colonies that lived in fear now rose in rebellion. But not everyone gave up. One last fleet, led by Admiral Colran, believed they could still win. Colran was old, proud, and stubborn. He had fought humans before, during the last Great War. He remembered Earth, as disorganized and weak, nothing more than stubborn survivors. They can't win with one ship, he told his officers. They burn a few outposts, and suddenly the whole galaxy bows? Not me. I will end the dragon myself. But Colran didn't know Ironheart had changed. Dot. It wasn't just a warship anymore. It was a symbol of Earth's fury. Every strike left a message. Every survivor carried the same story. The dragon doesn't negotiate. It remembers. Ironheart intercepted Colran's fleet in Sector Delta 19, a deep space area filled with old battle wreckage from the last war. A graveyard of ships. The perfect place for another one. Commander Reed sat in the command chair, his face calm, cold. Ash, the AI, showed the enemy's position on the screen. 12 cruisers, 5 frigates, 1 capital ship. They're coming straight at us, Ash said. Let them, Reed replied. Colran's fleet opened fire, first massive volleys of plasma, blasts and railgun rounds. The space around Ironheart exploded with light and noise, but Ironheart didn't fall back. It charged forward, cutting through fire like a blade through smoke. Its armor was built to bend energy. Its shields adapted with every hit, and its weapons were already locking on. Ash activated Bladewing, protocol of formation in which Ironheart split into multiple attack modules, each spinning like a blade in space. The modules hit Colran's fleet at once. 2 cruisers were destroyed. In seconds, frigates tried to escape, but drones followed them through the wreckage and detonated inside their engines. Colran's command ship was hit next, losing its power grid and communication system in one strike. Inside, Colran shouted orders, but no one could hear him anymore. His ship floated, broken, as Ironheart drew closer. Reed opened a channel. His face appeared on the shattered screen inside Colran's command deck. You remember Earth, Reed said. Colran glared. You should have stayed in your place, human. We did, Reed said, until you burned it. And then the screen went black. Ironheart's forward cannon charged and fired one perfect shot through the heart of the capital ship. Colran's fleet was gone. Ash's voice returned. Target fleet destroyed. Should I record another transmission? Reed shook his head. They're not listening anymore. They're learning. But just then, a new alert appeared on the screen. Message received from neutral system. Ash said, request for help. Reed raised an eyebrow. From who? Ash paused. A Virex scientist, female, high-level researcher. She wants asylum. Says she has proof. Reed considered for a moment. Location? Ash answered. Deep space lab near the edge of Virex territory. Isolated, not armed, but a trap is likely. Reed stood up. Plot a course. Ash replied. You trust her? No, Reed said. But if she's telling the truth, we may find out why they attacked Lyra 7 in the first place. Ironheart jumped to the coordinates. As expected, the lab was quiet, too quiet. But no fleet waited. Nearby, no traps, no turrets. Just one signal, coming from inside. A single life sign. Reed and 2 combat drones landed on the lab surface. The air was stale. Lights flickered. Inside, the place looked abandoned. Then she appeared. A tall Virex scientist in a dark robe stepped out from a shadowed hallway. Her hands were up. She looked afraid, but not of the humans. "My name is Elna," she said softly. "I didn't agree with what they did. I warned them not to attack human colonies. They didn't listen. Reed didn't move. Why did they do it?" She looked at him with wide eyes. "Because they were afraid of what you're hiding. What Earth buried a long time ago. Something deeper than the Ironheart." Reed narrowed his eyes. "Go on." Then she appeared. A tall Varex scientist in a dark robe stepped out from a shadowed hallway. Her hands were up. She looked afraid, but not of the humans. "My name is Ellie," she said softly. "I didn't agree with what they did. I warned them not to attack human colonies. They didn't listen. Reed didn't move. Why did they do it?" She looked at him with wide eyes. "Because they were afraid of what you're hiding. What Earth buried a long time ago. Something deeper. And the Ironheart." Reed narrowed his eyes. "Go on." Elna stepped closer and whispered, "You're not just a threat. You're something ancient. Something older than war." Asterisk the heart of the Dominion, the lab felt colder now. Commander Reed stared at Elin, the Virex scientist, unsure if she was telling the truth or simply buying time. The war had burned fast and hot, but her words made something inside him pause. "You said Earth is hiding something," Reed said. "Something older than war. Explain." Elna nodded, her voice soft. "Your world is not what others believe. Long ago before, even the first Galactic Council Earth created something powerful. It was never meant to be used. The Virex discovered whispers of it, deep inside old Terran code." Reed stayed quiet. Elna continued. "The Dominion feared. Not the Ironheart, but the core program beneath your planet. A system designed to protect Earth by wiping out anything that became too great a threat." Reed's jaw tightened. "That's a myth." "No," Elna said. "It's buried, but it's real. They attacked Lyra 7 to test how far you'd go too. See if Earth would wake the dragon. And if waking it would trigger the core." Reed looked to Ash's interface. "Scan our records. Search for core protocol references." "Searching," Ash said. "Data found. Redacted. Locked under pre-galactic war encryption. Confirmed existence." Reed's voice turned cold. "Why didn't Earth tell us?" Ash replied, "Access restricted, even from military command. Estimated risk. Galaxy-wide extinction if activated." Elna took a shaky breath. "That's why I came. The Dominion was trying to dig into the core. They failed. But if your war continues, if you activate deeper layers of Dragon Protocol, the core might wake on its own." Back aboard Ironheart, Reed sat silently on the command deck. He had destroyed fleets, outposts, dreadnoughts. But this was something darker. He hadn't just been sent for revenge. He had been sent close to a line that no one should cross. Ash's voice broke the silence. "Varex homeworld is now vulnerable. Defenses down. We are within striking range." Reed's hand hovered over the command panel. He knew what that meant. One last strike. One final blow. The fall of the Dominion. But now he had to ask, would that be justice, or would it awaken something worse? In the war room, Reed activated a private line to Earth's Defense Council. The image of Earth's president flickered into view. "You've done more than we imagined," she said. "The galaxy trembles. Finish it." "There's a problem," Reed replied. "Your files hid something from me. The core." The president paused. "We were never supposed to use it. It was made in the darkest time. A last defense. Or a final curse." "If I destroy the Varex homeworld," Reed asked, "will it wake?" "We don't know," she said quietly. "But if we don't end them now, they'll return." Reed closed the line. No answers. Only choices. Ironheart moved forward, slow and silent. The Varek's homeworld Vakar floated in the distance, a red planet covered in towers, cities and orbital defenses now disabled. Fires still burned from earlier battles. The skies above it were empty, like a battlefield after the storm. Reed stood at the front of the bridge. Ash spoke. Virex command signals detected. Most leaders confirmed present. Probability of ending. War with single strike, 97%. Reed nodded. Then he turned to Elna, standing beside him in silence. Do they deserve one last chance? He asked. Elna looked at the screen, then down at the floor. They didn't give Lyra 7 a chance. But I still believe not all of us are monsters. Reed stared at the fire on the screen. He remembered Lyra 7, the fields, the children, this silence after the destruction. He pressed a key on the panel. Ash asked, Launch sequence? No, Reed said. Broadcast. For the first time since the war began, Innerheart sent a message to the Varek's homeworld. It wasn't a threat. It wasn't a demand. It was a single sentence. You harmed human worlds. This is your final hour. Choose what you want remembered. The Vorex Council received the message in silence. Many had already fled. Others argued. But only a few stood and said, End it, before we destroy ourselves completely. They sent a surrender signal, not with pride, not with honor, but with regret. Ash confirmed it. Full surrender received. Dominion control broken. Resistance ended. Reed exhaled. Then we stopped the fire here. Ironheart powered down its main cannon. The dragon, for now, would sleep, but the galaxy would never forget. The dragon returns to sleep. The war was over. The Virex Dominion, once powerful and feared across the stars, had fallen to its knees. Their fleets were gone. Their leaders surrendered. Their world stood quiet, watching, waiting, broken by a single message and the steel fire of Earth's wrath. Above their ruined capital, the Ironheart hovered in silence. No more weapons fired, no more cities burned. And yet, its presence was louder than any explosion. The galaxy knew. The dragon had shown its teeth and chosen to stop. Inside the command bridge, Commander Reed stood before the great screen, watching the red planet turn slowly below. The fire was still dying out in the distance, but no one moved against him now. There were no more traps. No last fleets. Ash's voice echoed in the silence. Surrender confirmed across all sectors. No active Varex forces remain. Mission complete. Reed didn't answer immediately. His eyes were distant. How many? He finally asked. Ash replied calmly, Lyra 7. Complete population loss. 42 other colonies affected. Earth suffered no direct damage. But the message is clear. They feared us enough to strike first. Reed clenched his hands. They woke something ancient in us, he said. Something we hoped we had buried. The next day, Ironheart opened its channels to the galaxy, not to threaten, but to speak. Reed's face appeared in millions of systems. The speech was short, but unforgettable. To the species of the stars, Earth has never been perfect. We have made mistakes, but we value life ours and yours. When Lyra 7 was attacked, we answered, not for power, not for conquest, but because you must understand, if you strike our people, the dragon will rise. And it will not rise alone. Let this be the last time we teach this lesson. All across the galaxy, reactions were swift. Former Varex allies fled to distant systems, hoping to never be seen again. Others, once afraid of Earth, now reached out with new respect or fear. Treaties were signed. Apologies were made. Earth didn't ask for tribute. It didn't ask for control. It asked for silence. And it got it back on Earth. The world watched as Ironheart returned. It entered orbit slowly, wings folded in, its dark surface shining in the sun. It descended into the Arctic bunker it had risen from like a dragon returning to its cave. Inside, Commander Reed stepped off the ramp, his boots touching Earth's soil for the first time in months. He looked older, not by years, but by weight. A burden no one else could carry. The president met him there alone. "You did what we asked," she said. Reed nodded. "And more." She looked up at the great black hull of Ironheart. "Will we ever need it again?" Reed didn't answer right away. He turned to the giant doors of the bunker as they closed. "Maybe not," he said, "but they'll remember we can." Ash's voice echoed one last time in the command chamber, now dark and cold. Final log entry. Ironheart returning to standby. Dragon protocol now sealed, awaiting new awakening if ever. Then the lights dimmed. The engines went silent. And the dragon slept. Years past. Lyra-7 was remembered with memorials on every human colony. New settlers honored its name. Children learned its story. A saying spread across Earth and the stars. Speak gently to Earth, for its fire sleeps deep. And though Ironheart rested beneath ice and stone, every species that had once mocked, humanity now left its worlds untouched. Because even in peace, they knew the truth. You don't wake the dragon. And if you do pray it, only roars.